Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we will be going through the day 1 exercise for this course. The day 1 assignment comprises of the following steps that we need to complete. The first one is to listen to the summary podcast episode which is created by Notebook LM. Then to read the white paper Introduction to Agents, which is complement to the podcast. These two materials are very informative and very helpful, so I recommend that you please go through them. In case you have not done it so far, it's completely okay. It's not going to impact your code labs. We'll be going through the code labs step by step, and I'll make sure that I explain you everything, all the code snippets, so you don't really feel the FOMO of not going through these materials. But I still recommend once the exercise is done, please go ahead and read this article and listen to that podcast. So I'm going to click on 1 and 2 because this is done from my end. And I also want to make sure that you guys have verified your phone number on your Kaggle account. Otherwise, you won't be able to run any code snippet. It will throw an error. So it's necessary for the code labs that you verify your phone number. And I have done this successfully. Now in this code lab, we have two exercises. One is that we'll be building our first agent, and then we'll be building our first multi-agent system, both using the ADK, which is Agent Development Kit, powered by Gemini, which gives it the ability to use Google search to answer questions with up-to-date information. Now, in the second code lab, the interesting part is it's not just helping us create a multi-agent system, but it also shows us how to create the teams of specialized agents, and also shows us what the different architectural patterns are available, like sequential, parallel, loop, which has critical and retriever. So in order to make things easy and keep them simple, in this video we'll be covering the build of first agent, and we'll have a follow-up video wherein we'll be covering the build of multi-agent system along with the exploration of different architectural patterns associated with it. So without further ado, let's start towards building our first agent, for which we'll be clicking on this link, the first link, build. This will redirect us to the Kaggle notebook. This says day 1 from prompt to action. This is the notebook that we will be working on for this entire course. Right now this is not editable by us, hence we need to create our own editable copy by clicking here, edit my copy, on the right hand side top corner. It opens up an editable copy for us. Sometimes it takes time because you have a lot of participants working on the same notebooks, right? So you might face that issue. Wait for a while and then retry. That should sort out the problem. Now in this notebook, what we are going to do is, in this course, there are a few steps that we'll be covering. First is we'll install the ADK, then we'll configure our API key to use the Gemini tool. We'll create our API key in Google AI Studio. Hope you guys have signed up there. Then we'll create or build our first simple agent and run our agent and watch it use a tool like Google search to answer a question, or more than a question. We can have 4 or 5 questions as well. There's another step to it. We'll be running our agent over here in the notebook, and then we'll also run our agent in a web interface. So that's another step, which is a few minutes. Alright, so let's get started. We don't have to install this agent development kit because if we are using a Kaggle notebook environment, it already includes a pre-installed version of this library for Python. Hence, we don't really need to install any additional packages in this notebook. But if you are using your own development environment, which is outside of this course, then you might want to run this command. The next step is to create the API key. Hence, we need to create it on the Google AI Studio. I'll click here. It will redirect us to the API page under Google AI Studio. If you are doing it for the first time, then you will see a default Gemini project and its default Gemini API key. You can use this if you want to use it for this exercise. However, I recommend that you try creating a new one just for the sake of experience and understanding how it is done. And make sure you're not sharing it with anyone because it's your private key. On the right hand side, you see this button which says create API key. Hit on that and you will see this dialog box which asks you to name your key and select a project. Over here, I have a couple of projects that I've been working, but if you are doing it for the first time, you will only see default Gemini project. Just for the sake of this course, I'll be creating a project here for everyone of us to understand. Click on the plus sign, click this create project. Give it a name. I'll say Google Agent AI 2025 course. And I'll create the project. Once this is done, you will see it's listed the project name. Now you can add your key. Try to give a name that is easy for you to relate what type of key it is for which project it is associated. Over here, I'll call this as my first agent AI key, which is a very basic generic key name. So now we see that we have got the key and we have got the project name. The project is a Lang project and then you have a key which is my first agent I key. I can copy it from here. Now it says copy to the clipboard. We'll go back to the notebook. Now we need to add the secret key, which is a Google API key. Now to associate our key to the Google API key label, we will go to add on here on the top menu. Click on add-ons, click on secret. You see this. I already have this because I already worked on a project, so it shows up. But for you, you won't have anything here. You will see just add secret as a button. I'm clicking on add secret here at the bottom and I'll be adding the Google key. Please note that it's case sensitive and you need to write the exact name, otherwise it will throw an error at you. We'll save this. Another thing that to notice, if this box is not checked and you run this code by any chance, it will end up an error. It will print authentication error and it will give you the value of what the error is about, the code. However, if you're selecting this, then you won't get that error. It will print Gemini API key setup complete successfully. So let's try that and see how that error works. I'll uncheck it, okay, and I'm gonna run this code. You can run this code by hitting on this play button, or you can do a shift enter on your keyboard. Now I'm expecting an error because I have not selected this key. So I'm expecting that it should print authentication error. Here we get the authentication error as expected. Now to fix this error, we'll select this key, alright, and then we'll rerun this. And it quickly says Gemini API key setup complete. Now the next step is to import the ADK components. These components are from the ADK kit and the generative AI library. You see here it's a ADK agent, which is agent. Then we are importing Gemini LLM from Google LLM. We are importing InMemoryRunner from Runner and the Google search tool from tools, which we were talking about. I'll hit on play basically to execute the snippet, and once done, it will say ADK components imported successfully. This will be the output message for us. This usually takes a little while to load because it will be calling all of these agents and tools. It's importing everything. So next is the helper function that we need to define. If you are running this snippet outside of Kaggle environment, then you don't really need to do this. This is specific to help. This is specific to Kaggle notebooks. So I say play, and the output should be helper functions defined. Hence, thus you see it says helper functions defined. Next step is to configure retry options. What is a retry option? This is something that we always do when we are working with the LMs, because most of the times LMs may also encounter transient errors like rate limits or temporary service unavailability. Like sometimes some websites may load late and then there will be a service unavailability for us. Same goes with LMs. For LMs to retry those options automatically and handles failures, we'll have a snippet which will instruct the LM to retry the request with exponential backoff. So over here I don't see a print message, so I'll add a print command for the sake of ease, something like done. So once this is completed, I'll see a print message saying done. Okay, so this is done. This was quick. Now I'll explain you what it means. So here we're saying how many number of attempts it should do, retrying. We have assigned it 5. The exponential base of backoff is 7, so the multiplier is delay that way. Initial delay is 1, so basically that means before you give a start off with your first try in seconds, you are waiting 1 second before you do that try. You wait for the website or the service to come back within 1 second, otherwise you will start with your retries, which is a maximum of 5 attempts with exponential backoff of 7. That's a multiplier. Now, in which situations are we supposed to retry? Here are the HTTP codes that we'll provide. If you have any more codes that you want to add, you can add. So this is the condition when the LM is supposed to try to, retry. Now coming to the section 2, which is building our first agent. Before going to create the first agent, let's have a brief understanding of what is the difference between an agent and a model. So model like Gemini, basically what happens is your user gives a prompt and Gemini returns the text response. It's straightforward. With agent AI, it has a capability to think, act, and observe. So when a user provides a prompt, the agent thinks through the prompt, understands which tool should it call or go to find the right response. That's the action it makes. And once the tool responds back with the information, it observes that information, curate it, and then output it as a final answer to the user. So this is the difference between a model and an agent. A model is basically something that responds back with the text, whereas an agent is something that responds back with a service as well, like Siri. You could ask Siri to set up an alarm for you, whereas you can't ask ChatGPT to do that for you. So that's the difference, basic difference. Now let's define our agent. Every agent has the following main properties: name, description, model, instruction, and tools. So every root agent should have a name, its description, the model inside it, along with a retry config so that the agent can retry in lines of failure. Now it has name, that's a helpful assistant. The model that we are using is Gemini, and the version is Gemini 2.5 flashlight. We also incorporate the retry option here so that if there is any delay or if there is any rate limit issue, it will retry for so and so times. We have defined the name. Now comes the description. The description is basically for us to understand what this agent is all about. a simple agent that can answer general questions. Very simple. Instructions is something for the agent to understand what he's supposed to do. So the instruction here is you are a helpful assistant. Use Google search for current info if not sure. Hence we said Google search. The tool is Google search. So the instruction, using this instruction, any question that has been asked, agent will go to this Google search tool, look for the information and respond with that. Hence we have defined the agent. Let's run the code. It says root agent defined. Now we'll be running this agent. To run this agent, we first need to have a runner, which is basically a orchestrator or central component within the ADK. It manages all the conversations, the messages, and it handles the responses of the agent. I'm sorry. And we create a in-memory and tell it to use our agent. So we say InMemoryRunner, use our agent, and let's see the runner is created. Once this is done, okay, we now start to call our to call our agent, and we'll send a prompt and we'll get an answer. For that, this is the snippet. You say response equals to await runner.run debug. Run debug is a method to send our prompt and get an answer. And in double quotes, we'll question whatever you want to ask. Over here, by default, it says what is ADK from Google, what language is the SDK available in. We'll run it and see how it responds. So it says new session, it says debug session ID. The question from the user is this, and the helpful assistant answers with this. It says Google ADK is an open source framework designed to simplify the creation, deployment, and orchestration of AI agents and multi-agent system. It also gives us some further information, blah blah blah. Then it says for the second question, it says the ADK SDK is currently available in the following programming languages. Wonderful. Now it also says that now why don't you try some questions of yourself, like ask what's the weather in London. So let me just change this question and ask what's the weather in Amsterdam. Okay, it says continue session. So this is the new session started. You are continuing with the session. It says users asking what's the weather in Amsterdam. It says the weather in Amsterdam is currently light rain with the temperature of 52 degrees Fahrenheit. Alright, it gives a great answer. It says the rest of the Thursday is expected to be cloudy. Looking ahead, Friday is expected to have light rain. Saturday is forecast to be light rain during the day and cloudy night. Wow, so we got a good understanding of this. Let me see if I can put some more questions. So I'll say plus code. I'll add this. Let me say, who is the father of democracy? I don't know. He will be able to answer. So the question is, who is the father of democracy? Oh wow, so you say this thing is widely regarded as father of Athenian democracy. He was an ancient Athenian statesman. This is something new that I learned today. So go ahead and you can try your agent posing different questions and seeing if you can learn something new, or you can just cross-verify if it's getting you the right answers. Now coming to the last step in this exercise, to create a web interface. The web interface would be something like this. For that, we first need to generate our sample agent, and we'll do that by running this code. So this is a sample agent folder, which will contain all the files including the agent.py, the environment and everything. So right now it's running, and over here, once this is done, you will see all files shown as an output. Right, so we have created the agent in the sample agent folder. We have got all the required information, required files, Now we'll be creating our custom URL. So it says it's important that we now run this instead of just creating the custom URL. So it says run the next cell to start the web UI. Wait for the cell to show running. It will not complete. Once it's running, run to this bottom button and click it to open the UI. Yeah, fairness. This is very clear for us to understand. So now we'll run this. Once this is done, it will say it's ready. We will come back here and we'll click on this link. So this is done, and now I'm going to click on the web UI link above. This takes me to this page. Now I can start asking anything. What is the capital of Greece? It is okay. What is the capital of Nexus? So I should say okay, so now because this question was quite vague, it said there are multiple works titled with Nexus. Okay, so Nexus I. It says, could you please specify which Nexus you're interested in? I got it. So it says we're likely referring to artificial intelligence and modern approach by Stuart Russell and Peter Novick. Perfect. So if you alright, so now it says the book you're likely referring to is The Artificial Intelligence Modern Approach by Stuart Russell and Peter Novick. Perfect. This is what I was looking for. So I think I'm good with the agent, and I hope you have also created one without any issues. Do let me know if you face any issues. Please write down your questions in the comment and I'll be there to help you troubleshoot. This is end of the video of day 1 part 1. We'll be doing the day 1 part 2 in the next video. Thank you for watching.